Hello everyone, and welcome to my review of Brickmania's A6M Zero. I built this according to the instructions found in their Pacific Theater book, which costs about $60. And the instructions are right here in this book, including some other instructions. Also, a parts list is in the back. So what I did was I just looked at the parts numbers and entered them on Bricklink and formed a wanted list that way, and then clicked on buy, and it hooked me up with sellers. What I did was I used a combination of my Legos and maybe some Mega Bloks pieces, and also, you know, some Lego compatible blocks from Chinese sets that either I never built or just kind of got taken apart by my son. So let's get into this review. Brickmania, they've done a bunch of World War II airplanes, and I've built 3 of them so far. 3 of their designs. I've built the A6M Zero, I've built the Curtiss P-40 Warhawk, and I've built a version of their Messerschmitt Bf-109 Kurfürst. It's not their most current one, but I think it's the one from a year ago. And out of the 3 World War II planes that I built from Brickmania, I would say that their Zero is the most dead on in terms of just basically appearing like the actual Mitsubishi Zero. They got the profile done right. With the other 2 airplanes that I built, not quite as much, but I'll talk about that in later videos. So as you can see that they've used a Lego tubing. Instead of using a Lego canopy piece, like a plastic piece, they've used Lego tubing over here to form the canopy, and they used the robot arms. And I was a little skeptical about how that would turn out while I was building it. But, you know, it actually really kind of matches the profile of the actual Mitsubishi Zero. So that actually turned out pretty well. A couple things about this model. The landing gear, it's not the most sturdy. It has a tendency to bend sometimes, and sometimes those small wheels pop off. You know, so sometimes you know, if you, unless you handle it carefully, sometimes the landing gear can come off pretty easily. It's easy to put back on, so that's not really a huge deal. I'll put that on later, but it's kind of hard for me to hold the phone and fix that at the same time. So I'll do that on a little later. Another thing I would say is the propeller. It doesn't spin very fast, but I think that actually be my fault, because if you look over here, I used to put the shaft in, I used a Mega Blok piece with a hole in it instead of using a traditional Lego piece. So if you look really carefully, the hole on the traditional Lego piece is slightly lower than on the Mega Bloks piece, where you see the gap is, the hole is not exactly aligned. Let me put these 2 together so you can see a little bit clearer. So it's hard to tell from this video, but the hole is not exactly in the same place, and that might account for why the propeller doesn't spin as smoothly. Now, people are probably wondering, well, it's great that you can build this plane in gray, but can you build it in green? And the answer is yes, you can. You can build it in green, and the Mitsubishi Zero looks really great in green because, as you know, that was, I guess, maybe later on during the war. These came in green. The thing is that you kind of have to do some mental calculations and really swap out some of the gray parts for green parts, and that's pretty tricky. It took me a few days to figure out, exactly which parts I needed to swap and enter that in my buy list, and get those all ordered. A few issues is that if you try to build it in green, you see these 1x6 tiles, they are really rare in dark green. So at the time that I was trying to order this, there weren't any American sellers that actually had this tile piece in 1x6, and I think maybe right now on Bricklink, maybe there's only like one American seller who actually has this, and they're like 50 cents a piece, which is not too bad, but they're only available very sporadically. This guy over here, I just didn't order enough dark green pieces. So maybe in the future I'll redo this, but I'm not sure. I think it looks fine the way it is. The other thing is that for 1x2 tiles, they just those are also really rare. So I had to use, for this one over here, I just used an old Mega Blocks piece from a model that I just kind of took apart. And for these are dark gray Lego pieces instead. These 1x2 in dark green are going to be probably like, sometimes like 90 cents a piece. So, if I were to go and reorder it and try to do the whole thing in dark green, it would add, probably like $10 to the cost of the model, because I need so many of these 1x2s. So I'm still trying to figure out if I'm fine with this thing being in dark gray and dark green versus just straight dark green. But that might happen at a later date. Also, finally, the 1x8 tile, they just straight don't make in dark green. So if I had to, if I wanted to do this model completely in dark green, I would have to order maybe a 1x6 and maybe like a 1x2, and then both those are a little rare and a little bit on the expensive side. But that's something that I'll contemplate for another day. Also, the propeller on this one spins really nice. Well, maybe not completely, but pretty good as compared to the gray one. So thank you very much for watching my review. And if you have any questions, please just put them in the comments below, and I'll try to address them.